The guy who isn't villainy signalling, but is hands-on, is still stuck in the anti-white narrative. But I have made some improvements with him. However, he is emotionally attached to the concept of giving the anti-whites names of their taking, even after I got him to briefly use the word anti-white on multiple occasions. He thinks the R word is genuinely, not superficially, neutral, and not an anti-white slur, but just a word which has been abused. Generally, okay, when it comes to folk believing that the word racist is actually somehow kind of a legitimate word. It actually means racial discrimination, but it's just used often to slur white people. Truth is, it's just a racial slur. Nothing more, nothing less. It doesn't actually mean discrimination against somebody on the basis of their race. For people to understand that, that's like advanced level going free. Okay, so don't even worry about that at first. Keep telling them, make it aware, but don't make that an argument. Don't die on that hill. From within the anti-white narrative, it's impossible for that to make sense, because racist is a legitimate word in the anti-white narrative. But don't expect them to understand that, because it's been conditioned for a lifetime, and that's one of the strongest anti-white meme pathogens that there is. Everybody uses it, and has used that word at some point in their life who exists on the planet in this day and age who has any connection to the English language. It's a fundamental concept. It's one of the initial building blocks on which our perception of reality is established, if in the anti-white narrative. It comes to somebody who's a practical hands-on learner, use metaphors of systems and stories, analogies, to illustrate a concept. If somebody's your mate, they're going to want to understand your position and how you feel, and then they will understand and be like, alright, yeah, no bro, you're right, I understand. I'll stop doing that because I understand how it upsets you, and why it upsets you, and I don't want to upset you because you're my mate. That's how it should be. Again, if not, then you move on. And you don't have to make it hostile or a big argument or nothing. You just drop a little truth bomb here and there. If it's like consistent after months and months, and it's the same thing, you keep saying to them, friendly, for months. Don't use the word racist. If you want to use it in your own time, but just while you're with me, just show me respect as your friend. Don't use the word racist around me, or the R word at all. When you're with me, that's all I'm asking. And if after a couple of months they can't remember to not use that word in your presence, they haven't got enough respect to actually consider you as a human being. I do keep trying my best with him while using the advice given to me by Going Free and those in our community. Someone that certainly takes more patience than a lot of other vagues I've dealt with, the guy who is an anti-white and a coward, literally claims, I never said that. You're confused, when I call him out, especially when nobody was there to witness his previous arguments. He even makes the argument that non-white people are... If you want to talk about the reality of the racial differences in races, we all have different strengths and weaknesses. We all have instinctual personalities, There's different races and folks. And that's beautiful, and we should appreciate everyone's differences, our different cultures, our different traditions. That's fair enough. But if you want to talk nonsense or talk down about people because of their race, again, it's not the R word. That's an anti-white racial slur. It's another form of racial discrimination, which is wrong. And I hope all good people can agree, racial discrimination is wrong. So if you have a so-called mate, or somebody that you know, who speaks like this, what I'd tell them is, if you say one thing like that ever again in front of me, if you discriminate against any race, white, black, Asian, I don't care, if you discriminate against any race in front of me, you can fuck off. I'm not going to tolerate that. And then if they apologised, I'll be like, alright, now show me, prove it. Then I'll forgive you. And we can move on from there, but otherwise you can get... I ain't got time for gronks who want to racially discriminate. Actually does believe himself not to be an anti-white on the surface level. For many years he has always helped out me and my family on a superficial level, and has helped out with our well-being as individuals, like feeding me, especially when I was homeless, and buying necessities for the household at times when my whole family had health problems, and I was the only one working, which limits the amount of income we had. My income, being the main income of the household, is still the case right now. Government benefits is our only other income. The vague, hands-on or non-intelligent, non-abstractionist I spoke of who hangs out with this anti-white, at what point should I give up on him, the vague? If at all, if it gets to the point which I have to tell him to take the bench. And how do I go about telling him to take the bench when he can't comprehend why he is being an idiot and messing things up, especially when he's so passionate about his delusions, and his passion is more emotionally driven than driven by genuine passion. Facial expressions, tone, colourful language and body language. The anti-white I speak of has known this as long as I have, and knows very well how to take advantage of this vague. Could you help me on this one, brother? When it comes to, like the anti-white meme pathogen, folk using the R word, the racial slur, the R word, don't making an argument, just keep reminding people. You have to remember that people have been conditioned since before they were born, conditioned even when they were in the womb. Okay, babies in the womb can hear things happening around them. Yeah, they can hear the conversations, everything. So even before we're born, even while we're in the womb, our brains were being conditioned and programmed to think in anti-white ways, and thus justify harm against innocent members of Western kind in the anti-white narrative. Everyone alive on the planet today has access to media from the Western world, has been conditioned from inside of the womb to think in these ways, and to think that the R word is an actual, real, legitimate word. It's not just a racial slur. So if it's a lifetime of conditioning and it's deep in the subconscious minds of folk, that means it may take half a lifetime for some folk to truly get to that and deal with that. Yeah? The more effort, the more work they do, the faster it'll be. But if it's just through constant reminders from someone like yourself, right? If they aren't going free them of anti-white meme pathogens themselves, they aren't actively thinking or worried about this type of thing, just living from within the anti-white narrative, and you're just reminding them here and there, you have to remember that they're constantly being bombarded through their everyday media and sources and friends and conversations and things, legal documents, everything, with the term, the R word, as though it was a real word. It was conditioned in us. We've been raised since we're in the womb as though the R word is real. It's a real concept and a real thing. It's not just a racial slur against innocent white people. And we're continually programmed every day from all angles of life with this, constantly, still, until we die. It's going to keep happening until anti-whiteism stops. But anti-whites run most of the world and run most of the world's government. The anti-whites at the moment, pretty much every day, pump out these meme pathogens that keep people sick in their minds and trapped in the anti-white narrative with these anti-white meme pathogens. So they're constantly harming themselves, harming their communities, harming the world around them, and promoting that self-harm and harm of others as well, to spread and reproduce. You're battling a constant program, constant propaganda, where they're constantly being told every single day that the R word in the anti-white narrative is a real word and actually means racial discrimination. It's just neutral, but sometimes it's used to slur white people. Yeah? Every single day. And you're coming in with the truth, saying, no, the R word's just a racial slur, it's just the R word. Expect that to take some time. For some people, it will be years, literally years, before they can fully fathom and comprehend that, oh, yeah, they're right. The R word, racist, it's not a real word. It doesn't actually mean racial discrimination. It's just a racial slur. That's all it is. All it ever has been from the very beginning. Holy shit. Like, that's going to be a big realization for people, yeah? Who have been brainwashed their lives to think that the R word, race, is a real thing. So don't expect to be quick. It's going to take a long time for people. But that's why we've got to be consistent as well, and keep saying this every day. Because their propaganda is doing the opposite. But the difference is our truth, our message that we promote, our advocacy. It's that powerful because it is rooted in reality, that it actually establishes and defends and nurtures itself. So don't lose faith and don't think that because they own all the media, the anti-whites own the banks, the anti-whites own most of the freaking governments, they're pumping this stuff out, they've got it in the school curriculums, they're brainwashing children in freaking primary school with this nonsense, they've got critical race theory, all this crazy shit, they're pumping it every day. Don't think because of that that a few of us random people, freedom fighters, true blue diggers, heroes of Western kind and humanity are spread across the world in whatever situation we happen to come from. Don't think that we haven't got the power to override that and turn that around, because we do. So powerful, it overrides the evil of the anti-white narrative, because that's fake, that's an illusion, that's a lie, and it crumbles as soon as it is touched by light. Yeah? When it's darkness, and when the sun comes up, when the light's turned on, what happens to the darkness? It doesn't matter if there's 10 times more darkness, it doesn't matter. As soon as the light shines on the darkness is destroyed and vanquished instantly. And the same goes for our white positive narrative of white well-being. The anti-white narrative and the anti-white mean pathogens, words like the R word, are the darkness. And yes, they do propagate this darkness and spread this darkness every day with billions of dollars in all of the world banks. But our light will outshine their darkness. We have far more power than they will ever have. And that is why we will recapture our destiny. And humanity will be free from their tyrannical plans of enslavement and their consumerist system.